Alright, hello. Today we're going to learn about using vectors. And vectors are a bit unlike lists. So what's the difference between vectors and lists, you might ask? Well, that's a good question. Well, the lists are like this, 1, 2, 3. And we can add things to them, like cons 0 onto the list of 1, 2, 3. But a vector is actually not extensible like this, it's fixed in size. And I think this is how you do a vector in Dr. Scheme. Right. Alright, but if you can't add anything to that, you can't, it's a fixed size, but you can change individual items in it. And let's say you've got a list 1, 2, 3 and you want to change the 3 to a 4. Then well, let's just say you want to find out what the last value is in the list. So it's 1, 2, 3, so in order to do that you've got to read the car of the list and then go on, read the cadder, and then the car of the last value. So this is a bit inefficient. If you've got a list of like 1,000 items, then that means you've got to go through it 1,000 times. But a vector, although you cannot increase its size, you can immediately access any element in it. So let's say I want the 1,000th element, then I can just access it right away. So it's faster if you've got to do access randomly. That's what it's called, random access. So list access is sequential because you have to go through the sequence to find it, but random access means you can pick whatever you want and get it right away. And it's the same speed accessing the 1,000th item in the vector as it is the first or second. Alright, so let me show you some vectors. Also strings of vectors as well. So let's say here's a vector A, B, C, D. Here's an empty vector. Okay, the same thing in list would be like this. And the same thing, an empty list. Okay, then a string, is like this. Just 4 characters string together. And strings behave much like vectors in that you can't increase their size unless you use like string append or something. And they have random access speed. Okay, then let's see here. So if you want to test for something to see if it's a vector, you can use the vector question mark function or procedure, and we'll try and see if that's A and B. Is that a vector? No. But let's try this. Yes, that's a vector, alright. Alright, then vector length. Oh, first, so list, of course, tells you if something's a list, and string tells you if something's a string. Alright, good. Now what about the length? So on a list you just do length of AB is 2. If it's a vector, then you do vector length of AB 2, and string, it's string length of AB 2. Fantastic. Alright, what about accessing elements? So vector ref is how you access an element in a vector. So A, B, and let's say we want the 0 element, and we get A. If you want that from a list, then you do list ref B. Let's get B this time. B. Alright, but the difference of course is that in the list ref will be slower than vector ref. That's the whole main difference, is this thing here. This vector ref can access anything at the same speed within this vector, whereas this list will access later items slower than former items. Alright, and string ref, hello, and we'll get the first one, which should be E, and there we go, we get the character back. Notice this is a character, not a string. If you want to convert a character into a string, I think you can do char to string. Oops. Oh, I'm hitting my mouse, my touchpad when I mess up like that. Alright, so that didn't work, but I know you can do this. String to, list to string, and just pop that character into a list like that, and then you've got a string. So that's one way to do it. Alright, so we learn how to reference them. Let's okay, so remember to make a list, use cons A into that. Now to make a vector, you can do this, make vector and then the size, which is like let's do one that's 8, and it just returns an empty vector. So it looks like 0 is what it defaults to filling it up with, but if you want to fill it with something else, you can do make vector 8 high, and we'll fill it up with high. Alright, and if you want, so it likewise make string does the same thing, just an empty string. Who knows what those are? I don't. Alright, to make string 8, and you can also fill it up with something, with a character like H. There we go, bunch of H's. Okay, then what's next? Alright, so then we've also got this, of course, list 1, 2, 3, and for vectors we got something similar. Vector 1, 2, 3, and that'll just make us a vector like that. And for strings, you've got that as well. H I. There we go. We've got high. Oh, so I guess that's how you would convert this this character into a string. I forget where I did it. Yeah, and so instead of doing char to string, just do string E. Let's try that. String E. Just enter. There we go. Alright, that's good. Okay, so let's fiddle around with vectors a bit just in the terminal here. So let's define v1 to be the vector. Let's see if this works. 1, 5, 10, 20. v1. Alright, that's good. Now let's define v2 to be make vector, oops, 6. Should just be a vector with a bunch of zeros in it. Alright, good. Let's define v3 to be a vector of 5 filled with x. v3. That's excellent. Alright, let's define v4 to be a vector of that, some numbers, bunch of characters, symbols, etc. v4, and we've got that. Alright, now you could also have vectors within vectors if you wanted, so I could define a vector and make that a vector or something like that. It's sort of a lot like lists, except for the random access bit. Alright, so let's see here then. We can do vector v1, and of course it's true. And let's check down the vector length of v4. Oh, let's see, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, that's right. Alright, so how do we access let's access A out of v4. Do you remember how to do that? Well, I do. It's vector f, and then your vector v4, and then the spot. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's actually probably 3, because this is 0, 1, 2, 3. Oops, 3. Alright, and we get A like we wanted. Okay, so and the last thing